Let's talk about how to tell the difference between helpful overthinking and unhelpful overthinking. I'm going to share 4 things to think about to try to help you determine whether your overthinking is helpful or unhelpful. Because overthinking, by virtue of the term, already suggests that it's too much. But I actually think that there are some adaptive features of overthinking. So let's get into it. So, the first dimension to think about is the impact on your time and energy. So, if your overthinking is helpful, it's probably not interfering with stuff that you need to get done. It's not interfering with your sleep. So, it's not keeping you up at night. And it's not interfering with your ability to be present for the things you have to do. It's not causing you undue distraction to the point where if you're having a conversation with somebody and you're overthinking something and you're not even able to hear what they're saying, you've probably now shifted into unhelpful overthinking. Some other features of unhelpful overthinking include your time spent overthinking is detracting from other important things, interfering with your sleep, diminishing your ability to be present and to focus. And the other thing that you want to think about is the extent to which you feel like you can control the overthinking. And so if you're analyzing something or you're preparing for a big meeting or a big presentation and you're rehearsing it in your mind and anticipating obstacles, all of that can actually be very functional and helpful. Usually, when things are crossing into the unhelpful range, also coincides with things moving into the uncontrollable range. So, if you feel like your anxious overthinking is out of your control, like you can't make it stop, even if you try to distract from it, or you're doing one thing and it comes out of nowhere and then you can't get unstuck, those might be signs that your overthinking is now going into the unhelpful zone. So, the second thing to think about is information. What kind of information is your overthinking generating? So, helpful overthinking oftentimes generates new ways of solving a problem or new ideas for how to approach a situation or even different ways of thinking about something. So, if your thoughts are kind of flexible and you're entertaining different options, that usually is productive and can be helpful. Sometimes we overthink because we are expecting new information to come from somewhere. And so we're sort of trying to predict and play that out. And it's hard to know sometimes how much of that can be excessive or not. But when your overthinking gets to the point where you're not generating any new insights or information, you're kind of just turning over the same thing repeatedly in your mind, then that's a sign that it's not helping you. And then the other thing you want to look for with information is if your overthinking is now generating improbable worst case situations or outcomes, then you're probably in unhelpful territory. The third thing to look at is your level of anxiety. And so there's an optimal level of anxiety for us to function. So anxiety in and of itself isn't bad. It's actually a very useful tool. It mobilizes us, it gets us going. Sometimes it tells us what we care about. So overthinking, if it's in that productive anxiety zone, can be helpful because it's preparing you for action. Overthinking that is paralyzing, that your anxiety is so extreme that it's holding you back from thinking clearly, taking action, brainstorming effectively, focusing on reality, then you are probably in that unhelpful anxiety, unhelpful overthinking zone. And then the last thing I want to mention is the relationship of your overthinking to action. So one way that overthinking can actually be really helpful is it prevents us from taking impulsive actions. And so it means that we're thinking things through, which, in many cases is a good thing to do, as long as you are overthinking and not falling into missing deadlines, procrastinating, delaying decisions that impact other people and they are telling you that they're bothered by it. That's usually when you are in unhelpful overthinking zone. There's a level of additional negative consequences that are resulting from the overthinking itself. And so just to review, those 4 dimensions were impact on your time and energy, the type of information that the overthinking is generating, how the overthinking relates to your anxiety, and whether the overthinking is helping you prepare for action or causing you to avoid action that is then causing additional problems. So, if you haven't already seen it, I have a guide that has 7 steps to help you work through a specific situation where you might be overthinking and as a result, avoiding an action that feels risky. So, you can find that in the description below. You can also find it on my website, www.dr-natasha.com, and don't forget to subscribe.